Morning, children. Today we'll be dealing with strategic management subject, Unit 2. You have already studied the concepts in Unit 1, that what is strategic management, what is the significance of the strategy, how many kinds of strategies there, how far they're important in the corporate setup, how do strategists design their strategy, what is the strategic management process. Moving on to the second unit, we'll study about the environment and the importance of environment, how many kinds of environment are there, what is the external environment, what is an internal environment, how do you scan the environment, what is the process for environmental scanning, and how far the environmental scanning is crucial for any company. So the strategic management unit 2 will deal with the entire concepts, and the cover things that will be covered in this is will be environmental scanning. Environmental scanning will basically focus on the SWOT analysis and the TOS matrix. TOS matrix is just opposite of the SWOT matrix. As you know that SWOT stands for strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat analysis, and TOWS again stands for threat, opportunities, weakness, and strength matrix. We also come down to the ETOP study, OCP, SAP scanning. Apart from that, we will also focus in this unit about the industry analysis, how far the industry analysis is crucial for the strategists. What is the competitive intelligence? We have always heard about the various emotional intelligence, spiritual intelligence. Now, what is this competitive intelligence and how far it is important in the corporate setup, and what is the function of a competitive intelligence? What is a corporate analysis? It is basically an internal corporate analysis, that whenever you are analyzing the company, then what is the analysis of a company and how far the analysis of the company is going to accelerate the business or is going to benchmark the company in the competitive world. Apart from that, we will also move on to the resource-based approach, value chain approach, scanning functional resources of the organization, and we have various models like strategic budget audit, core competency, competitive attachment, strategic positioning, rest, portfolio analysis, BCG model, G9, we all cover in unit 3, not part of unit 2, but just I have mentioned over here so that you can have a glimpse of the model that are covered in your strategic management syllabus, and they hold a very important part in the strategic management paper, and they also constitute the very important questions of your examination process. Moving on to the lecture 1 of unit 2, that is environmental analysis and environmental scanning. You have been hearing about the environmental aspects, what is an environment, how far the environment is very important for, like, if you will focus on what is the significant development that has taken place in India after independence, that is liberalization. So when you see that globalization has transformed even a pioneering company to an also ran company, if it fails to adapt to the changes, that means if the company doesn't adapt to the changes, then later or sooner, with the advent of the technology, the company wither away or lost its stake in the market. So environmental organization or environmental scanning is very crucial because it scans the external environment. It will help industry to identify the possible opportunities and threats, and the internal environment helps to identify the strength and weakness of a company, so accordingly they can design the strategy. So when we look at the organizations, we have divided the organization into various environment, like we have a mega environment, we have a micro environment, we also have a relevant environment. So moving on to the micro environment, if we study that micro environment, always micro words come from the very small aspect. So that means that microenvironment is the relevant environment, and microenvironment has a substantial impact on the organization's current business developments in microenvironment with effective strategy decisions of the organization. So when we say that what is an environmental scanning, so as you can see in the slide, environmental scanning basically explains or elucidates the process of the scanning the overall environment of the organization, whether it is the external or internal environment. So environment of an organization, prior to scanning, it is necessary to understand what is an environment. Environment of an organization is the aggregate of the conditions, events and influences that surround what constitute the environment. Basically, we are affected by the environment because we are in an organization. An organization in itself is a society that has a complex mechanism that affects it. So, an organization is always affected by the people, the culture, the vision and mission of the company, and these are the events that influence and surrounds and affect the organization. Since we have already discussed this, organization is a very small part of a broader social system. So it is compiled and complied to work within the interface of this society only and following all the innumerable constituents of it. So when we look at the features of the environment, we'll see that it is a very complex phenomena. Environment is composed of very complex phenomena. We have people from various culture, diversity, various thought set, various processes, various norms, various organization setup, different kinds of expectations of the market, various kinds of people. So there's a lot of diversity and it's an always changing environment. Apart from that, we'll see that dynamic, that means the thing that is not constant. Environment is always changing. You cannot expect an environment to be static in every concept. Moving on to the challenging aspect, that is another feature of the environment. We'll see that environment has a lot of challenges for the people, with the threats coming up, with the opportunities coming up, with the competition, with the stakeholders' demand, and the basic turbulent and and current pandemic situation. If you see that Corona had hit the market, and there's a lot of companies that are going in the market, so it is a challenge for the company to sustain this era and to maintain themselves in a market, giving them the competitive edge, and yes, always getting the profits also. So this is a big challenge, environmental threat to the various companies in the market. Then we have an external and internal features. As we know that environment is external and internal. So what are the components? What are the components that makes an external environment? Number one, economic. External, we have seen that there's a lot of economic policies that keeps on changing in an environment. We have a socio-cultural that is subdivided into demographic and the cultural aspects, religious, ethical, and moral aspects. So, what is a socio-cultural phenomena? Like people are coming from different demographics, age, gender, caste, religion, sexual orientation, different kinds of values, different kinds of thought processes, various kinds of decision-making aspects. So that gives the diversity. So every people is having a coming from a different kind of a background, different kind of a culture. So it is a religious, ethical, and moral. Everybody has a moral. For one society, moral standards are very high. For the other society, those standards doesn't go for a toss. Those standards are not even acceptable. So then we have a political environment, like political. We see that the running government have a different kind of policies for the organization. The previous government will have a different kind of political interference. Like political interference is also justified in various kinds of jobs, there's a reservation quota for the women. There is a reservation quota for SC, STs, and OBCs. There's a reservation quota for the handicap and the disabled people. So the political and the statutes and the legislations do affect the internal policies of the organization, and organization has to sustain within this political environment also. Then we move into the legal concept, like company has to follow the legal standards frame and has to abide by various norms, various statutes that have been constituted by the government. Like we have various Factories Act for the welfare of the laborers and the employees. We have Payment of Wages Act. We have ESI Act. We have Apprentice Act. So these are the like we have Equal Opportunity Act. That is for the same for the men and women. So these are the acts that has to be followed by the companies because they are the legal mandates. Apart from that, they have to file the return, they have to get their companies registered by the Companies Act, they have to put their partnership form, then they have to go through the partnership. By selling and purchasing, they have to follow the Sales of Goods Act, Negotiable Instrument Act. So they have to follow the old laws of the company law, and the legal aspects has to be taken care of. Then moving to the natural environment, that is the natural environment is nothing to explain. Like what are the natural hazards that may impact, like that the geography of the company gives the competitive edge. We have an international environment also, how company is successful in reaching out to the international aspects. Then we have task operating and the competitive environment. Moving on to the components of internal environment. Internal environment can be broadly subdivided into organization aspects, that is those factors that constitute the organization's environment internally are the structure of an organization, that what kind of a structure is followed by an organization, whether it is the matrix structure, whether it is a function structure, whether it is a simple structure or the hierarchy structure, or it is the bureaucratic structure, or it is a virtual structure of a company, or it is a tall structure or a flat structure. So the structure also affects the environment. Then we have a communication network. Communication network is that what is the channel of communication? Anyone can reach to anyone, or there is a proper channel that has to be followed. That is from the junior person has to report to the senior, then senior to his senior, and then senior to the super senior. That means your senior boss is not even available for the normal employees. So what kind of a communication do? Whether the communication is a backbone of an industry, and how far the communication is effective in an industry. Then the record of the success. What is the history of the company when the success story is to be laid down? Hierarchy of the objectives. What are the objectives of the company? With what objectives the company is moving forward? Policies, procedures, rules, and the ability of the management teams. We are moving down to the marketing aspects, like what is the market segment, how the market is divided by the company, what is their pricing strategy, what is their product strategy, how do they promote their product, how do they distribute their product. That comes under the marketing aspects. Similarly, the financial aspects always talk about the liquidity, profitability, activity, investment opportunity. Then we come to the HR aspect that we called as the personnel aspects. What are the labor relations mandates? What are the recruitment practices followed by the company? How far the training programs are successful in meeting out the deficiencies of the employees and training the employees to meet the challenges coming up. What is the performance appraisal system, how they had designed the performance appraisal system, what is the turnover and the absenteeism rate. Then we come down to the production aspects. What is the plant facility, how the total plant setup has been laid down, what is the use of the technology, what kind of a technology they are using, how do they purchase their raw material, how they stock there, how do they maintain the inventory, and what is the method of subcontracting. Then we have a managerial aspects, and then nevertheless management style. What kind of a leadership style and a management style being followed by the people in the company, and how far that style is effective in driving the benefits for the company and getting company a very profitable edge at par with the other companies in the market. Then we have management competence. How much competent the management is to achieve the objects and the targets, how they are benchmarking themselves in the competitive market. Then what are the managerial values and norms. So these are the internal and the external components. That means we also have a culture. We have already spoke a lot of cultural aspects. Human resources, that is the person aspects. There are other organizational resources that comes and go and all. Companies has to take care of it as and when they require. We have the organization vision and strategy, goal, that we have already discussed in unit 1. So what is an environmental scanning? Why environmental scanning is done? So as you can see in the slide, environmental scanning is a process of gathering, that means you are collecting, analyzing, you are critically analyzing what the data that you have collected, and dispensing, that means distributing and utilizing the information for tactical and strategic purpose. Strategic and strategic purposes. It also required careful monitoring of an organization's internal and external environment for detecting early signs of opportunities. That means environmental scanning always detect the turbulence, if it is external or internal, and try to eradicate those loopholes in order to develop the future plans, fight or make a defense mechanism for the threats. In comparison, surveillance is confined to a specific objective or a narrow sector. Apart from that, environmental scanning is also defined as monitoring and interpreting sweep of social, political, economic, ecological, and technological events to spot budding trends that could eventually impact any industry. What is the purpose of environmental scanning? Why environmental scanning is done? First of all, optimum utilization of the resources, that is the effective utilization of resources. Whatever the resources, what are the resources for a company? We have machine, material, money. These are the resources that are being utilized by the companies. So are they being utilized are they being utilized efficiently? So upon constant monitoring of the resources, you have to monitor the resources, their availability, you have to maintain the inventory, you have to also check for any wastages, if it is all. What you have to also identify, what are the best resources you can harness from the market. Then we have a strategy formulation. It also helps in the strategy formulation. You identify the threat, you devise the mechanism for it. You identify the opportunities, you design the strategy to grab those opportunities. You know you are powerful or strengthful at one pace, you accelerate at that point, and you're weak at one point. So you try to cover your weaknesses by coping up with the mechanisms. Then what it is also useful for the managers, environmental scanning is again useful for the managers. How it is useful for the managers? In a way that managers utilize this information in order to design their strategy and fight back against any threats that are coming up, or they design the processes in order to make themselves more competent and efficient in the market. They also predict the future. You know that what is there in the market, you have a design strategy, you have studied the environment, now you are preparing yourself for the future. What are the factors to be considered before you are scanning the environment? You have to understand the external environment of a business. Whatever business you are indulged into, it is operating within an environment, because it is a society that your industry is dealing in, and the environment is continuously influencing the industry. So events, what the events that are surrounded and what the events that are influencing the industry. Events can be anyhow. Number two, what are the expectations of the people? What do people expect out of an industry? What do people expect of the companies? Like if you talk about the Tata is not a businessman, he is an industrial. Whereas Ambani is a businessman, they are not called as industrialists. So because Tata has a lot of work into charity business, whereas Reliance are only into the earning money. They're the core businessmen. Then the issues. What are the issues that affect the company? They can be political issues, they can be legal issues, they can be technology issues, there can be some kind of pandemic. That is, we have a COVID-19 issues these days. Companies are dealing hard and nut for these to fight back these issues. They are going into loss also. Apart from that, we have the latest trends that are being followed. Companies always do trends that follow. When you approach, what are the various kinds of approaches to environmental analysis? So, moving on to it, we'll see that there are three kind of approaches. The first is the systematic approach, second is the ad hoc approach, and third is the process form approach. So, systematic approach is basically for information of environmental scanning that has been collected systematic. And the word systematic approach derived from, because it is a process that derived by systematic procedures. What are the informations that are important to business and industry should be collected, and changes in those aspects should be monitored very critically, and it should be analyzed very carefully. Continuous updating necessary. You have to update your database with respect to the information, with respect to the data that is being important for your company, not only for the strategic management but also for the operative activities. In this approach, information is collected to what? Information is collected to the market, customers, what are the changes in the legislation policy, what is the impact of the government policies on the business, or what kind of impact is going to lay on the organization. The second is the ad hoc approach. Ad hoc approach, in which organization conducts special surveys and studies to undertake special projects, evaluate existing strategies, devise new strategies. Suppose company has to go for an expansion. It is an ad hoc strategy that I'm going to study the market. I'm going to do the survey first so that I can have a collective information about what market expects, what people expect, whether this kind of product is required in the market or not, whether if I'm launching some kind of a product or a project, how, what kind of a response we'll get from the market. So company initially design strategies to study, to survey, and to special studies to undertake a particular kind of project. They tend to evaluate the market and the people, and accordingly, with the response of the people, they devise the strategy. If they find that the existing strategy is good, they continue with it. If they find that they don't have existing strategy, so to design a new strategy. Lest the changes and unforeseen developments may also be investigated. So you see that if there are some kind of opportunities in the market, or there are some developments, or you want to develop something, then these kinds of things are also investigated. Third approach is the processed form approach. Information uses supplied by the government agencies or private institutions, like the database, like the policies, like the people, like the legislations of the government. These are the informations that are given by the government agencies, or what is the secondary data that is available from the external and internal sources may also be utilized for the purpose for the designing the strategy. So there are certain factors also that affect the environmental appraisal. So you can see the four factors are here. That is factors relating to nature of environment, factors relating to the organization, factors relating to these strategies, and factors relating to the strategist. So environment, as you've already discussed, environment is very complex. It is also flexible, it is hostile, and it is very diversified. There are factors relating to organization, that what kind of a nature of business the organization is into, किस तरीके के business में organization काम करता है. Secondly, how old the organization is, that is the age of the organization. What is the manpower in organization, that is the size of the organization. What is the nature of market in which the organization is sustaining itself, and what kind of a product, what is the nature of a product company is dealing into. Strategy related, what kind of a master level corporate strategy or the basic strategy or the function level strategy company is indulged into. So the corporate level strategy is designed to achieve corporate objective. Sub-level strategy is for the specific, where they serve as assistants to master strategy. Thirdly, function level strategy, how the strategy is translated into function, like your various functions, your marketing, your HR, your production, your R&D, your inventory, and etc. Factors related to strategies, the age, education, experience, motivational level, ability to undertake the pressure and to fight, or coping mechanism against the stress, and what kind of an interpersonal relation, how healthy or unhealthy relationship between two people or the organization is. Then we have a techniques of environmental appraisal. The first is the ETOP, that means environmental threat and opportunity profile analysis. Number two is SWOT, that is strength, weakness, opportunity, threat analysis. Number three, PEST, political, economic, social, and technical factors. P stands for political, E for economist, S for social, and T for technical factors. So we'll take up one by one. First is the ETOP. What is ETOP? Let's see in the slide first. ETOP is considered as a useful device that facilitates an assessment of information related to the environment, and also in determining the relative significance of the external environment, threat, and opportunities to systematically evaluate environmental scanning. It means that ETOP is a strategy that helps in assessing the information that is related to the environment, and also try to analyze those information to find out the significance of the external environment threats that are approaching, and the opportunities that are approaching for the company. And they evaluate the organization, they scan the environment for the upcoming threats and the opportunities. It also try to divide the environment into different sections, so it helps to analyze the impact on the organization. It is based on threats and opportunities, and just as we have discussed the point number one, it is always based on the threats and opportunities that are coming up in the external environment for the organization. So there are various steps and the procedure to follow for the ETOP. First, you have to divide the environment into two sectors. Then you analyze the impact of each sector on the organization. Third, you subdivide each environmental factor into various sub-factors so that you can have a comprehensive ETOP. That is, you have a comprehensive environmental profile, threat and opportunity profile. And next process, analyzing the impact of each sub-factor. एक sub-factors we have taken, how these sub-factors are impacting the organization. You try to design on the various statement with the impact. Then last, you prepare a summary to show the major factors for the sake of keeping it simple, so that it is understood by any layman also. What is the importance of ETP? Obviously, it provides a clear picture to the strategy so that they can design a various strategy keeping the opportunities and threat in the environment in mind. They help the organization to understand where it stands with respect to the environment. It also helps the organization in formulating appropriate strategy, whether it is defensive, whether it is protective or reactive, to take the advantage of the opportunities and fight back with the threats in the business. Then we have SWOT analysis, strength, weakness, opportunities, and threat. So it is the identification of threats and opportunities in the external environment, and the strength and weakness of an internal environment. When we talk about the opportunities and threats, it always exist in the external environment, and we talk about the strength and weaknesses, it is always about the internal environment of a company. If the SWOT analysis, it is the SWOT analysis only that determines the course of action in order to ensure the growth, diversification, expansion, or the finishing off of the organization. So you see that what are the this is the picture that list out several factors like what are the strengths for a company. For example, the strong brand image of a company, high quality products. You are known for the giving high quality products to the company, excellent distribution network, good inventory management, strong R&D, economies of scale, latest technology, comfortable structure and de-equity ratio, good credit rating, motivated employees, and so on. Then we have weaknesses like poor brand image, narrow product mix. We have weak distribution mechanism. We also have uneconomic size of the operation. We have outdated technology. We have weak research and development skills. These are the weaknesses. Now, what are the opportunities that are available for a company? Like where price decontrol, delicensing, dereservation, FDI norms, capital market, large growing market, growth of consumerism, export incentives, etc. Threats can be recession. Threat is like pandemic. Threat is like political instability, terrorist attacks, social activism, and we have important liberalization. There is certain kind of strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat that can be identified broadly for a company. Then we come down to the best analysis, that is political, economic, social, and technological analysis. It is very important for an organization because it studies all four aspects that and it considers its environment before beginning the marketing process. In fact, environmental analysis is a continuous process, and it is very important for planning and strategizing the business. The macro environment, as I just discussed in the start of the lecture, is the political and legal forces, economic forces, socio-cultural forces, and technological forces. So they are broadly called as best factors: political, economic, social, and technological. This picture is going to help you out to understand that what is best analysis is all about. Then we have political economic factors going into detail. The political arena has a huge influence upon the regulation of business. We all know that changing government norms, changing legislative functions, changing statute, any kinds of amendments in the reservation policy, the recruitment policy affect the company's internal environment also. Like how stable is the political environment? Will government policy influence the taxpayers? Like you see that the GST has influenced a lot of businessmen's environment position, government position with respect to the market ethics. What are the government policies in the latest economy? What is the income tax laws that are coming up? What is the budget and how far the companies are facilitated in the upcoming budget of a government? Is the government involved in trading agreements like EU, NAFTA, ASEAN, or the others? Economic factors always look at the interest rates, the level of inflation, long-term prospects of the economy, like what's the GDP per capita, and so on. Social-cultural factors, what is the dominant religion in that area, how much time do consumers have for leisure, how long are the population living, do the population have a strong, weak opinion on green issues, what language impact upon the diffusion of the new product in the market, technology, how far the technology is impacting any kind of society or the organization. Does we have a new technology or we are using the outdated technology, or the people want something new from the organization? What is the customer relationship management system? How do you communicating to the consumers? Like a lot of companies are coming up with a new technology in order to reach out their customers, in order to sell their product, because due to COVID, we are not able to move out because we're all scared of the infection. So the company has allowed various consumers to buy their products online, to give them doorstep delivery without coming into the store. So they are utilizing the technological factors. Then last is the TOS matrix, derived from the SWOT analysis. It was developed by Heinz Weyrich. It aimed at developing strategic options from an external, internal analysis, and it is a very practical tool, especially in the field of business administration and marketing. As you can see, TOS is the sword backwards. It illustrates how external opportunities and threat facing a particular corporation can be matched with the company's internal strength. And we basically try to find out a balance between the opportunities and threat with that of strength and weakness of a company, making into four possible sets of strategic uh, alternatives. Like if you see the figure number one, see there are various combination: SO strategy, WO strategy, ST strategy, and WT strategy. So taking them one by one. So this approach provides a good way for the brainstorming to create alternative strategy that might not otherwise be considered. It forces strategic managers to create various kind of growth as well as retrenchment strategy, because various kinds of combinations that are here. The first is the SO strategy. It is also called as maxi strategy because the strength and opportunity. Strength is very positive, opportunity is also very positive, hence it is known as maxi strategy. So as it also is about how to utilize your internal strength, how you are going to harness your internal strength, that means of the company, and how you're going to grab the external opportunities availing in the environment. That means companies using its internal strength in order to grab the opportunities that are available in the environment. For example, high brand loyalty and good quality helps a company to enter into a new market or to launch a new product. So the WO strategy. W is the weakness and O stands for opportunity. So it is a mini maxi strategy, mini for W and maxi for opportunity. In this strategy, companies strengthen their weakness in order to take benefit for prevailing opportunities. For example, product high prices is creating hindrance to enter into a new product. Therefore, company will upgrade its production technology and reduce the pricing of the product. Then we have strength and threat strategy. This is also known as maxi mini strategy. In this, company tries to minimize threats by their strength. They try to minimize their strength by increasing their strength. They fight their threats in order to be in the market, and they accelerate, they enhance their strength. This strategy empowers the company because by this company know why they are existing and how they can manage the threats that are approaching from the environment. This is the WT, that is both the weakness and threat are mini strategy, and they are the defensive strategy and primarily act to minimize weakness and avoid threat. So with this we come to the end of first lecture. Just a quick recap what we have studied till now. In this we have studied the concept of environment. What is an environment? What is an environmental scanning? What is a microenvironment? What is a macro environment? What are the various kinds of concepts? Like we have ETOP over here, we have SWOT, we have TOS, we have pest analysis. We have also studied what is environmental scanning, how it is done, how ETOP is made, how environmental scanning is important, what is the purpose of environmental scanning, what were the factors that were considered for environmental scanning, and what are the approaches. Like we have systematic, ad hoc, and process form approach. We also had various factors with the environmental appraisal. We have various techniques that we have discussed in detail one by one, and we have also studied the process and the steps involved in the preparation of ETOP, the importance of ETOP, how far it is helpful to the company, SWOT analysis. We have also studied the TOS backward, pest analysis, and various factors in detail: political, economical, social, and technological, TOS, and the various combination, that is maxi mini, and mini maxi strategy, and how far they are useful for the company. With this, we come to the end of lecture 1. For any queries, you can always reach out to me on my email ID. Thank you so much. We move with the lecture 2 in the next video. Thank you so much.